Welcome back to the Arbitrous YouTube channel. In today's class, we'll be learning how to make this lovely off-shoulder boubou. So you can see, you can style it as an off-shoulder completely, or you have one side on your shoulder and then the other side half also. Here also you can have your waist fitted like this. You can see how fitted it is on the waistline, and then the back will remain loose like this. Or you can just leave it both front and back loose. So we'll be learning how to do this in this video. This is something you would like to learn. Kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Making this kaftan is very simple. It's an off-shoulder kaftan, but you can style it as an asymmetric kaftan anyhow you want to style it, and you don't need too much measurement. So I'll be using this chiffon fabric and this bias for this tutorial. This chiffon is multicolor, so I'm not sure my chalk is going to show very well, but I'm going to show us whatever I'm doing using this paper so that we can follow me. So I have 3 yards of fabric here, and I'm going to be folding it into 4. So this is 3 yards by 60 inches. So I'm going to fold this into 2, and then I'm going to fold this into 4 like this. Okay, so this is going to be the width. It's folded into 4, and this is going to be the length. The length is going to be your actual length where you want your blouse to, where you want your dress to stop, and then you minus your off shoulder. So I want it to be off by around 4 inches. So I'll go off by 4 inches and then measure my 58 inches, because that's the full length that I'm working with, 58 inches for this. And then for this I'm using the 60 inches width. Okay, but another measurement you can use for this is from your center back to your wrist. So you just measure from your center back to your wrist, and that's going to guide you on the measurement you need for this part. Okay, so I'm just going to keep this aside and then continue taking my measurement. So the measurement you need now is your waist measurement. Okay, your half length measurement. Okay, so I'll be going off by 4 inches. Remember, this is an off shoulder, so here I've gone off by 4 inches before I started my measurement, and the half length I'm working with is 17 inches. So here I'm going to mark 17 inches. So like I said, I don't know if you can see this well. So what I have done here now is to go off by 4 inches, but this is a miniature, so I'm going to be replicating the 4 inches by maybe 1 inch, and then I'll measure my half length, which is 17 inches, so which can be around here. Then I'm going to make that into a straight line. Okay, so I'll make this to a straight line now. Okay, so after making this into a straight line here, so this is where my straight line stops. I hope you can see this. So the next thing I'm going to do on this side, that's the open side. Remember, this is the fold point, this is the folded point. On this open side here, I'm going to measure my sleeve opening. Okay, so it depends on how big, but it's not going to be tight, of course. So I'm going to be measuring like 13 inches or 14 inches for my sleeve opening. Okay, so here I have 13 inches. So these 13 inches just fall right on my waistline area. Okay, on this area, remember we went off by 4 inches. So if you subtract 4 inches from the 17 inches, which is my actual waist measurement, I have 13 inches. So I'm just going to maintain what I have here on my waist for my sleeve opening length. Okay, so from here to here now I have 13 inches. So now the next measurement I need to take now is my round hip measurement, or anywhere that is the fullest on your body. In my case is the hip line. So the hip measurement I'm working with is 46 inches. So 46 divided by 4. Okay, I'll be dividing 46 inches by 4. Divided by 2 is 23, and 23 divided by 2 is going to give me 11.5. So on this waistline, where I have my waistline measurement, here, I'm going to measure the 11.5. So I'll measure 11.5 from here. But this is a free dress. You don't want it too tight. So depending on how free you want it to be, you can add maybe 5 or 6 inches to this 11.5. So I'm just going to add 6 inches to this, and that's going to give me around 17.5. So it can be more or less. You don't have to go with this. Okay, so what I have done from here, from the fold point here, I went in now and measured my hip measurement, and my hip is 11.5, which is here. Then I had to add extra 6 inches allowance to it because that is what I want. So this is a total of 17.5. I hope we get that. So now the next thing now is to take this 17.5 measurements all the way to the hemline. Okay, so I'm going to measure the 17.5 all the way down. So I've taken this measurement all the way to the hem like this. So because I don't want this part to be too sharp, I'm just going to, you can measure out maybe 1 inch here and then use it as a guide. Well, I'm just going to be using my free hand to connect it like this so that I'll have a smooth curve. Okay, so after having your smooth curve, the next thing is for you to cut this out. So I'm just going to cut it like this, and this is what I'm going to have. So I'll do the same thing on my fabric now. Here I'm just going to connect it, my sleeve, to the body using this curve because I cannot have something sharp. And then I'll go ahead now and cut this out. So using my fabric scissors, I'm going to cut out this shape that I have. Okay, so we'll cut this now, and this is what we have. Remember, we still have a fold point on the upper part also, so you are going to just open it out. If you can open it now and then slash it, is fine, but because it's a chiffon fabric and it's going to be shifting, so you can just cut it on the tip just to make cutting it easier for you. So once I cut it on the tip now, I have 2 separate patterns, my front and my back separately, because we want to run a bias on it, so it cannot be together, it's going to be separate. So I have the front like this and then the back like this. So this is what I have now on my fabric, the front and back separately. So now on this upper part here, on the upper part which is here, I'll go ahead now and run a bias to pipe it. Okay, so the way I'm going to pipe it, I'll pipe it externally in such a way that my bias is going to be showing on the right side. So if this is the right side of my fabric, I'll go over to the wrong side, place my bias, stitch it on this line. The line is visible, so this line that I have here, I'm going to stitch it, and then after stitching it, I'll fold it over to the right side like this and then stop stitch on it. So I'll do this on this part and then also on the sleeve opening area for both front and back. Then I'll bring it back to show us what we have. Okay, so I've gone ahead to tape it. As you can see, this is the right side and I have my bias on it now, and then also on the arm opening area. So I have one piece because if you look at the thumbnail, you notice that the front part is fitted on the front area. So to make the front fitted, I'm going to put it on fold, just the front part here. I'm going to put it on fold like this. Then after putting it on fold, from the center point, I'm going to mark my half length. So the half length I'm working with is 17 inches. So I will go off by 4 inches like I did earlier, and then I'm going to note where my 17 inches mark falls. Okay, so my 17 inches is here. Okay, so on that 17 inches mark, I'm going to take my actual waist measurement, okay, for it to be fitted. So the waist measurements I'm working with is 36 inches. So 36 inches divided by 4 is going to give me 9 inches. So now from the center front, I'm going to measure 9 inches outwards like this, and then I'm going to note it. Okay, so what I'm doing is here now, remember I still have my waistline here. So to shape the front part, I'm going to take my actual waist measurement, which is 9 inches. So from the center front here, I'm going to measure the 9 inches here, and then I'll also note this on the other side. Okay, so by the time I open it out, this is my actual waist measurement. From here to here is my waist measurement. So here now, to make the front part, remember the excess that we have here is because we used our hip measurement for this. So in order to make this fitted, you can either use a rope or you use an elastic. So whichever one you choose to use. I think I've done a tutorial on that already on the channel, so if you have watched it, you understand what I'm talking about. So now I have these 2 ropes. So what I'm going to do now is to take this to the sewing machine now and then sew this rope here on this part, and then also on this part. So it's just a long rope that I turned out neatly. So you're going to be sewing this inwards, that's on the wrong side of the fabric, not the right side. So you're going to sew the two on this part and on this part on the front, on the wrong side of the fabric, so that you tie this to your body to give it that fitness that we have there. So here now I've measured my actual waist measurement. I'm just going to fold this to the other side also, so that I can replicate that measurement here. Okay, so this is also my waist here. So now if I open it out now, this is the wrong side of my fabric. So I know that my waist is from here, okay, to here. So you can reconfirm that should give you around 18 inches for both the front. But 9 multiplied by 2 is 18. So you can see I have exactly 18 inches from here to here. That's 18 inches. So now I'll bring in my 2 ropes now, and then I'm going to go over to the machine and sew this rope here and here neatly. Okay, so after sewing the rope, I'm going to turn the front and back. So now I've fixed the rope to it, you can see it. But like I was saying, if you have like an inch elastic band, it's just the same way, but the elastic you just reduce. Maybe remember we have 18 inches here for the front, so you can deduct maybe 5 inches from the 18 inches and then cut it out. Then you fix your elastic on one side, then on the other side. So it's going to, you can see how it's gathering it. It's just going to make it fitted for you if what you want to use is elastic. So now I'll fix this. The next thing is to place it right side facing right side and then sew it. So now to sew it, I'm going to be sewing it from, I'll leave the shoulder. I'm just going to place it right side facing right side, then I will sew it on the sleeve area to the bodies on both sides. So now I'll go over to the machine now and sew that. Okay, so now I've sewn it on the side. You can see my seam line here. So you just need to serge these rough edges. And then I went ahead to hem it on the lower part. So you can see that it is hemmed. So I'm just going to turn it to the right side. Okay, remember we still have the upper part, which is our shoulder area, still opened. We have not touched it. So now I've turned it to the other side, and this is what I have. So now let me turn it like this so that we'll see it well. So what I have left now is this upper part, not hemmed, so not touched. So the next thing to do now is to fold this again also. I'm going to fold this so that I can get my center front. Okay, so I folded it into 2, and this is what I have when I fold it. So now the measurement, remember this is an half shoulder, so the measurement that I need for this is my round shoulder measurement. So you just measure round your arm. The round shoulder measurement I'm working with is 44 inches. So the 44 inches, I'm going to divide it by 4, and that's going to give me 11 inches. You need this to be firm because you don't want it to be falling off your shoulder. So you just take that measurement really firm, and then the 11 inches from the center front, which is here. Okay, from here I'm going to measure my 11 inches, which is around here. So now I'll use my chalk to mark that. So the 11 inches, I'm going to mark it here and also on the other side. I'm marking my 11 inches, confirm it. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and sew this. So I'm just going to sew it by maybe half an inch or 1 inch, just to tack it together so that it can stay. Then this side is going to be opened, you can see. So now I'll chalk it down very well. Then I'll take it to my machine now and tack it on both sides, and her dress is ready. Okay, so I've gone ahead to tack it, and as you can see, I just tacked this on the bias area just by half inch to hold this on the shoulder. So now this is what it looks like. It's an off shoulder BUBU dress, and then you can either style it like this or style it as one shoulder whereby the other side is going to be off. You can see how stylish this is looking, and then on the hand area is going to be opened like this. So you can see what effect this is giving us, and the bias is just outwards like that. So you can either style it in a free form like this. Remember we have an inner belt, or you just use your belt to tie it. So you tie your belt internally to give it that look. Okay, so as you can see now, I've tied my belt internally, and you can see how fitted it is on the waist area here now. So you can use the belt to gather it, and if you look at the back, you see that the back is going to remain free. So you can see how free it is on the back, because the belt will be tied to your body internally like this to give you this fitted fit that you have on the waist area. So it's very beautiful and simple to make. I hope you enjoyed making this tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.